journalism teacher. First day of school, she says, I want everybody in here to write me a one-page book report because I want to see if you can write. So I go to the library, I'm a sports nut, looking up in the stacks, and I see Wyatt Tittle. I think, I'll read his biography, pull it out, take it home. And you know me, I didn't just write a book report. I wrote a book review, and I shredded this book because it was terrible. It was weak. It was shallow. I didn't learn anything from it, but I wrote it in one page, turned it in, didn't think twice about it. End of the week, Mrs. Burdett was her name. Scary lady. She calls me up to class. All my friends are looking at me. Calls me up at the end of class. You know, they're saying, "Are you in trouble?" She says, "You are coming into journalism because you can write." And I'm thinking, I don't know how to write. My parents, I don't think they even got out of high school. My father was a disaster. He had left by then. My mom was a wreck. And I'm thinking, I thought I was going to play sports. At that point, I was a really good baseball player. I lettered that year at Northwest, which was rare for a sophomore. And I told her, I play sports. She said, you're coming into journalism. I said, well, how? And she said, you will write about the teams you're playing on. Right. So I start writing sports columns my sophomore year in high school about teams I'm playing on. And sometimes I would be critical of the coach in the school paper. I did. Of my baseball. My senior year, I ripped the baseball coach while I was playing for his team because we were struggling.
Did you finish the year on the team?
He let me finish, but he would not speak to me after that. So my point is, God rest the soul of Wyatt Tittle. God rest the soul of Mrs. Burdett, because of those two and that connection, I got into this business. Wow. Thank you.
And I might be the guy to push you out. You get tired of beat. You get tired of me beating on you every day for the next.
You know what? I'm feeling good right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're feeling good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the team that he used to play for, the Giants. They fell to 0-5 on Sunday, and yesterday they found out Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Marshall will both miss the rest of the season with ankle injuries. And who is the most to blame for this terrible Giants season?
I'm going to start with Jerry Reese because can't blame him in his inability to put an offensive line in front of Eli Manning. I know what you put outside. You got Brandon Marshall. You drafted Evan Ingram in the first round. So you tried to give Eli the weapons that he would need. But what good is the weapons if he doesn't have to get the ball off to get it to those weapons? Andrew Whitworth was available. He's probably the best free agent tackle that was on the market. You probably should have overbid to try to lure him there. Eric Flowers has been a disaster. Like I said, my college coach said, do not go out and recruit offensive linemen. Recruit me all defensive linemen. That way, if they don't make on the defensive side of the football, I can put them on the offensive line. Because if you get an offensive lineman and he doesn't pan out, you got a big-ass equipment manager. And that's all they got with Eric Flowers. But the thing that I love most about Coach Belichick, if he makes a mistake on a guy, he doesn't try to fool everybody like, well, I'm going to move him to right tackle. I'm going to put him at guard. I'm going to do this. I've made a mistake. I'm about to move on. Jerry Reese should just move on from this disaster, but he doesn't want to look bad. I took a guy with a top 10 pick, and he's no longer on the roster. So let's start with him. He's done a terrible job of putting an offensive line in front of Eli to protect Eli. Second, the defense. Skip, I thought this defense would be better than what they were. They went from second in scoring D last year. They're 24th now. Third in rush defense. They're 29th now. That defense is not even comparable because last year the defense really carried them. Eli and Odell can make a play here or there. The defense could hold it down. You can win the ball game. Now the defense is not as dominant as they were last year. Eli cannot even muster on a consistent basis 20 points, hence the 0-5 record. Third, Ben McAdoo. Skip, he might be a good offensive coordinator.
I agree.
But I think he's going to be a lousy head coach.
Overmatched.
And I think because Coach Coughlin's message has started to fall on deaf ears, the Mara and the family thought it was best to go in a different direction. I think there are better candidates that were better suited for this job, but because...
Just a quick thought on that. You realize Hugh Jackson had that job?
Yes.
And then at the last second, Hugh Jackson said, I just like the management structure better in Cleveland because he liked Sashi Brown, Paul DePodesta, like the owner Haslam. And to me, it was a perfect fit for Hugh to coach that team. He would have taken it up a level.
The thing, most coaches, when you go into a situation, when you're assessing taking a job, Skip, what am I looking at? Quarterback. Because if I don't got him, I'm wasting my time. You got a proven guy in Eli. Now, is he Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, Drew Brees? No. But you don't have anything close to Eli in Cleveland, but that's neither here nor there. Ben McAdoo might be a great offensive, good to a great offensive coordinator. I don't think he's that as a head coach. And with that being said, there are enough things that would lead to 0-5. And I think you start with Jerry Reese, you start with the defense, and you start with Ben McAdoo, and I think you get exactly what you've gotten. 0-5 and a team that doesn't look like it's going anywhere soon.
So I hear you about the offensive line. I kind of hear you about the defense. I still think the pieces are in place there. It just hasn't played up to the level.
Right.
It's sort of gotten sucked down the drain like the whole team has. But bottom line to me, I think we've seen two players get old right before your very eyes this year. I think Eli is getting old, and I know Brandon Marshall is getting old. And they're not what they used to be. Eli is going on age 37, I believe, in January, if I got that right. Yep. And to me, and you can speak to this, again, he hasn't been protected, but he also has become, by Eli's standards, so inaccurate that he throws what the Cowboys back in the 80s used to call medicine balls. Danny White would throw medicine balls because he would throw it someplace that was so dangerous for you to try to go get it that you were in harm's way.
Yes.
And I feel like Eli has put his receivers too often in harm's way with slightly off-target passes that even Odell's pass. It was just in a very vulnerable place, right, for him to go up and try to get it and be caught in such a dangerous predicament down low, right? So to me, again, I look back at Eli's record and I say, if they miss the playoffs this year, which is pretty much a foregone conclusion, that would mean that Eli Manning has been the quarterback of New York Giants teams that have missed the playoffs 7 of the last 9 years, which brings me to the most absurd, preposterous, impossible, surreal fact in the history of the National Football League. Eli Manning beat Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls and 1 Super Bowl MVP twice. I don't know how it happened. It made Eli. I like Eli personally. We had him on the show in Houston. He's a good guy.
He is.
I think he's got a good heart.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I think he doesn't even know what he's doing out there as far as his mind sort of drifts off, and he grew up as a quarterback because his father and his big brother were quarterbacks, right?
Flow. His heartbeat is the same.
Yeah.
Up by 20 or down by 20.
You don't even know what's happening. He's just playing.
Yep.
And yet, if you didn't have those two on your resume, you would not have survived missing the playoffs 7 of 9 times. You'd just be out.
No, he would not. He would have not remained the starting quarterback of the New York Giants.
Yeah.
He probably would have been on his 3rd team.
Probably would have been.
And Skip, even though he won those Super Bowls, he won those 2 Super Bowls in a 5-year span, I really never looked at Eli as elite. I didn't.
No. So we saw it coming on opening night. You know, as a Cowboy fan, I'm pretty nervous about the game.
Right.
And it was a domination, and it was very misleading because my team wasn't that good, and this team was really bad.
Even worse.
It was even worse. It was terrible, and this final score, as you remember, was 19-3.
Right.
Eli's offense scored 3. The offensive line is terrible. Brandon Marshall had a bad night. He had a no night. He just wasn't even involved. And you say, well, this is wrong, that's wrong. Eli was wrong. Even though his numbers look okay that night, his QBR didn't. It was 21. But he's just had another pretty miserable starting quarterback year. Again, but you can always make the excuse, well, he didn't have a running game until last week when finally Darkwa and the kid Gallman got going a little bit. And they did have 152 yards rushing. But in the end, it's about the quarterback who just isn't good enough anymore. And I think he's nearing the end, but I don't know how they're going to cut bait. I just don't know. There's not a successor ready, right?
No.
They drafted that kid, but I don't know how soon he's going to be ready.
The thing is, Skip, when you look at it, and you look at Eli's numbers, you say he got okay numbers. Well, they're always behind in the 4th quarter.
Yep.
And so teams are playing prevent. So you look up, and he might have 20, 25 completions for 280, 300 yards. But if you go to those are those Blake Bortles stats. You know how Blake Bortles at the end of the game, they were down 45-14. And you look up, he got 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. Yeah, but he got them in the last 5 minutes of the ball game. And that's what we're seeing for Eli. And I agree, Skip. I don't know where they go from here because they don't have a successor.
I mean, they drafted the Cal kid who's, I don't
Yeah.
know. I have
But
no idea.
you,
But that's,
you going to turn it over to Geno
I
Smith?
don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I believe Eli is going to be there at least one more year.
Yep.
They're going to try to get him some help on the offensive line. I mean, you took a guy, last year in the 6th round? But you got to address that. If you got a quarterback, you got to protect him. He's the money in the vault. If you got money in the vault, you don't hire more cashiers. You hire security guards with machine guns to protect the most valuable asset.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they just hiring cashiers and it's like, welcome to Wells Fargo. How you doing? And the guy going right there to the bank, getting the money, and walking right up out of there.
Okay. And to Eli's credit, I thought he was very good early in the playoff game at Lambeau last year without much help from the yacht club that went to South Beach to get ready for the game.
You know they haven't won a game since.
They haven't won a game. Correct.
Take that picture off the internet. You're the one that
bad omen.
You keep it up there.
Which one? Oh, on the yacht?
Yeah.
Oh.
They need to take that picture off because they have not won a game since.
What was Odell wearing? Maybe that was the problem.
He was wearing Tim's. You know what he was wearing.
He was wearing Tim's. What was he thinking? I don't know what he was thinking.
You like the fact that Odell was in South Florida wearing Tim's and jeans on a yacht.
I don't know who let him on the boat with the Tims.
I think he was trying to say, I'm actually trying to get ready for Lambeau in Tim's, see, on the yacht in South Beach.
And one dude had a flannel tied around his waist. Why would you have a flannel shirt on in Miami at any point in time?
Because you're going to fly back to New Jersey, right?
Yeah. I don't know about all that, Skip.
Well, they had a lot of problems. Odell, Brandon Marshall, and Dwayne Harris all done for the season, and Sterling Shepard is day by day. Big losses this weekend with.
And they go to Denver on Sunday.
Yep.
You get a gimme, another gimme.
No. You want a case of do?
Hey.
No.
We're gonna have
better quarterback,
Trev's gonna
Dak
line up.
Prescott or Carson Wentz. Michael Vick answers that question next.